Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Easterday, and welcome back to Eye of the Storm Astrology. So, in today's video, I wanted to talk about a very important concept that, if you follow my work, you'll probably have heard me talk about many times before. And if you're going to be following my work from here on out, you'll absolutely hear me talk about again. And this is the concept of the difference between the warrior mindset and the victimhood mindset. But before I get into that, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. That way you get notified every time I'm putting out a new video. I have a lot of different content coming out, and I don't want you to miss out on anything that would be very valuable for you. So let's get into it. Well, first off, let's look at the victimhood mindset. Let's look at the mindset that we don't want to have. The victimhood mindset is where you approach life from the perspective of a victim. Of that, oh, life is just happening to me, and I don't have any control over this, or, it's just God's plan. It's, it's not up to me. It's fate. It's destiny. A lot of people, even within the Vedic, people will misuse this when they're trying to understand the Vedic philosophy. They're not using it correctly. Oh, it's just my karma. Karma is not such a stagnant thing. It's not a black and white thing. So that's not actually an accurate statement. There's also, people that they'll say, oh, I was born in a poor family. I'm this race. I'm this gender. Whatever excuse it is, if you're using it in a way that you're trying to classify yourself as a victim, you are inherently disempowering yourself. Because what you're doing is, instead of taking a self-responsibility and saying that I'm the causal point of this, you're saying that everything else is. You're pointing the finger outwards. Well, if everything on the outside has all the ability to control you, well, then you're just the slave of everything else. You've given up your free will. That's not how the universe works, though. Like I explained in some previous videos, free will is an inherent part of the universe. So what does that mean? Well, that means that whatever life situation that you're in, there's some responsibility for it. Whether it was actions you took in this life or actions you took in previous incarnations, and now you're dealing with karmas, you're dealing with the momentum of those actions, the effects of them. But why are you dealing with those effects, even if they're difficult effects? So you can learn a valuable lesson. It's not a punishment thing. So you have to get out of the idea that karma is this punishment thing. It's, karma is not Jehovah or Yahweh. Don't confuse those. If you're a Christian and you're trying to understand karma, you need to get rid of all your previous understanding or Christian worldview in order to actually be able to properly understand what it really is. You can't understand it through that filter, because that's not the society or the school of thought that karma, the idea of karma, comes out of. So when we have free will, we can see, instead of just being victims of circumstance, we're here to have an experience. We're here to exercise that free will. And that means if there's some situation in our life that we don't like, that we have to look at, where are we the causal factor for that? Now, that doesn't mean that you're the causal factor for every single thing. Obviously, there's other people here too that also have free will and can also put things out. But you always need to question and look at yourself of, where am I responsible? Have I done as much as I can? Okay, so it's a balance between those two. It's not solipsism. It's still recognizing that other people have things that if they go and fuck up their life, obviously you're not the cause point. That's not your fault. That was their decision to do that. Okay, so there's other beings that also have free will, but at the same time, you have to see where in your life you are responsible for creating it. And that is what I'm referring to as the warrior mindset. So a warrior mindset is where someone approaches life as a warrior, like they're taking life head on. They want to be here in this experience. They're willing to fight for what they want. They're willing to sacrifice for what they want. And keep in mind, when I'm referring to warrior, that it doesn't have to mean violence. So if you're associating that, it's not synonymous with violence. Being a warrior is a passionate person with drive, that you're willing to fight for something. Does that mean you have to go and like assault people? No, not at all. Being willing to fight for something could be like, oh, I want to start this new career. I want to start a business. I'm going to work really, really hard to achieve that. Or, oh, I want to buy this home for my family. So I'm going to bust my ass and I'm going to work really hard to achieve that. You're fighting for that thing. That's the mindset of a warrior. Whereas if the victimhood mindset, like, oh man, I'd really like that home, but I was just born poor and the banks aren't going to give me a loan and nobody's going to help me and I don't have any inheritance coming to me and I'm just always going to be here. See the difference those two mindsets would make in your life? One is never going to get you anywhere, or at least not anywhere that you really want to be. The other is going to help you embrace challenges as a good thing. Just like, for example, you think of, since we're talking about like a warrior mindset, imagine like a recruit. I think when I was in boot camp, one of the things that we were always being challenged. Like, for example, you imagine like an obstacle course, right? Those are like one of my favorite things to do. I loved running those. They're very challenging, but it was great. It was good exercise for you, and there was like different tasks along the way. Well, life is like an obstacle course for a warrior. That it's training you're going through, that you're hitting this part of this experience and conquering that. Well, now you got a new challenge you go to, and then another one and another one. And by doing this obstacle course, you get a little better at it every time. You can do it. You can achieve those tasks a little faster because your consciousness is picking up with those things. So eventually, it goes from having to have thousands and thousands of incarnations, then you're starting to get it in a less amount of time, and eventually you can get to that one incarnation where you picked up on it quick enough because you've ran the course enough times. So having that mindset of like, oh, I know this course is here, like that's my training, I'm a warrior, this is what I want to do, that's a much more empowered way to go about life. So when you do encounter those challenges, it's like, oh yeah, this part might be really hard. This sucks. My muscles are tired. I'm exhausted, but I know this is the best thing for me, so I'm going to keep doing it. That will get you much farther in life. And this is something I could go on and on about for a while, but the basis of it is really easy to understand. Like when you start to think about it and think how much we see victimhood mindset in our society. How often do we see people stepping in as warriors and trying to create their own reality, trying to take charge in their life? Interesting thing to observe, and see the difference between the people that have the different mindsets. Look around in your life and see the different results you get when you apply these different mindsets. Don't take my word for it. Try it. Adopt both of these mindsets for a month each and try them. See what works. Do an experiment. Practice science, skiatore. Come to know something. Don't just believe me because I'm saying it. Test it. But when you test it, these are, I'm pretty assure you, these are the results that you'll find. So that's going to sum up the video for today. Again, I just want to introduce, like I said, this foundational concept for you guys to kind of think about, and again, go test it out. And you'll, and this is what I say, not only observe that in your own life, but observe it, out in the world. Go look at people who tend to be like, do what I call trying to win the victim Olympics. So they try to make themselves as much of a minority classification as they can. That way they can claim victimhood and that they were somehow oppressed. See where those people are in their success. Then look at people that have a warrior mindset, that they take responsibility for their life. They're trying to innovate. They're creating. They're investing in their lives. They're investing in their futures. They're bringing value to other people. See what those people are doing in the world. Compare the results of the two. So test it in your own life and then observe it out in the world and test the theory as well. But when you do that, you'll find that warrior mindset's always going to suit you better, especially in the very challenging situations. Because the warrior is actually what's going to allow you to conquer that and learn the lesson and not succumb to the experience. So I hope you guys found value in this. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my content. If you're interested in any of my services, consultations, courses, anything like that, you can send me an email at eyeofthestormastrology@gmail.com, or you can visit my website, eyeofthestormastrology.com. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. You know, how have these different mindsets played out in your life if you tried them, if you have experience with them. How have, you know, have you got caught in a victimhood mindset? What was your result from that? Have you approached life from an empowered mindset? What was your result of that? I want to hear your guys' experiences below as well. Let's create some conversation here. So until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you in the next video.